And welcome to another Hayley-Roxanna crafts video. In the last video I showed you some different ways of securing your thread when you were starting cross stitching. So in this video I'm going to show you 3 methods for securing your thread when you have finished stitching with it. This may be because you have either run out of thread or you have finished stitching all the stitches that you need to do in that particular colour of thread. So method 1 is ending your thread with a knot. Like starting with a knot, ending with a knot can also be controversial in the cross-stitching community, as there are those that believe you should never have any knots at all on the back of your cross-stitching. The only negative issue I have with finishing with a knot is that the knot can come undone over time. However, if you want to use a knot, this is how I would do it. Okay, so I've got my Ada fabric with some stitching that I have finished just there. So now I want to finish my thread, so I would just flip over my cross stitch so that I am on the back, and then insert the needle under one of the stitches like so. I wouldn't do it under the last stitch you've done, as sometimes when you are tightening the knot it can just loosen your stitches a bit. Probably go for the stitch before your last one. So you just insert your needle under like so, wrap your thread over your needle. So to show you that again, so I've just taken the thread and passed it over the top, the tip of the needle like so, and then push your needle through and just give it a little pull to tighten the knot like so. You see, you can hardly see it. You do have to watch when you're pulling to tighten the knot that you don't pull too hard and distort your stitches. But that's it, and then you just snip off this excess thread with a needle. I wouldn't go right close to the knot, but you don't want to leave too much of a hanging over bit of thread, as this could end up getting pulled through onto the front of your work if you're not careful. But that's how to end with a knot. Method 2 is ending with a buried thread. This method is probably the one to opt for if you really don't want any knots on the back of your cross stitching. So to bury your thread, you've got your finished stitches on the front of your Ada. So then you just flip over your fabric so that you're on the back. And to bury the thread, all you are going to do is pass your needle under some of the stitches so that the leftover thread is between your stitches and your fabric, like so, and just pull through. I'd say you need to go under 3 to 5 stitches to secure your thread, just like that, and then you just snip off the excess thread close to your work. If you want a little bit of added security, some people will thread back through in the opposite direction under a couple of stitches, just to give a little bit of extra security like so before they snip off. The only issue with doing that is it can make the back a little bit bulky if you're not careful, especially if you've got a lot of threads to finish off in a similar area. But it's a personal preference thing. So that's how you finish with the buried thread. And the third method is ending with a combination of a knot and burying the thread. This is the method that I use, as I like to be extra sure that my thread is secure when I've finished with it. Okay, so again, I've got the Ada fabric with my crosses on that I've finished. So again, I would need to flip over my work to finish it off on the back. Now, if I'm ending with the knot and burying the thread method, I just pass my needle underneath one stitch, wrap my thread around the needle just the once and pull it through to make the knot. And then I would just pass the needle under 3 to 5 stitches. So I am burying the thread as well. like so, and pull it through, and then just snip off the excess. I started using this method as I found that when I was just doing a knot, because as I've said before, knots on the back of the work have never bothered me, but sometimes my knots would come undone as I was doing other stitches in the same area, and then I used to worry about my thread coming undone completely. You know, obviously when you've worked on a piece of cross stitch, you don't want it to come undone later down the line. So this is why I've started using the combination of the knot and burying the thread, as I find this then holds nice and secure. I have also seen that some people will use this method, but they will bury the thread first and then do the knot on the last stitch, the next stitch along from where they've buried it. This is equally as good. Again, it's a personal preference thing as to which way you would choose to do it. But that's how I finish, with a combination knot and burying the thread. So that's all the methods I know for ending your thread securely. If you know of any others, please feel free to pop them in the comments. Whichever method you choose to use, if you are finishing your thread because you are running out of it, then make sure that you leave yourself enough unstitched thread to use to finish it securely. If you've got any questions about finishing your thread or cross stitching in general, pop them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them for you. And that's it for this time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!